Hi, I'm Rachel Down, and I'm the founder at the British Broth Company. And today I have the amazing Jonathan Griffiths joining me at Carnivore Muscle. Now, Jonathan is a fantastic friend and also an amazing customer of ours. And he has been with me on this whole bone broth journey for many years. I think you've been with me on this journey for the full 7 years, Jonathan. So welcome and thanks for sticking around.
Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and you're completely right. It was at the time that I first came across you, it was 2018, roughly around about May time. That's when I bought my first hand-delivered frozen beef broth. So a few other things like I think some kombucha or something, or some kefir water. That was it.
Kefir, that was it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I've moved around a little bit since then, but yeah, it's been about 7 years, so it's been quite a journey, and I've seen how you've progressed with the company. I've seen it in different local shops and things, which is really nice to see a local company that just does the job
Oh,
properly, makes a good product, and it's spreading about a bit. So
yeah, thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. And Jonathan, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to come on today because I know that, you're an amazing being, amazing male being. You've had some difficult times in the past with your health. I know that you struggle daily with your health, and but you are incredible because you compete in high level bodybuilding, and I have absolutely no idea how you can achieve that. I can only say, as a lady of faith, I can only say that you have the hand of God on you, man, and he gives you that strength at times, even though you might not realize. But I do think that there is some spiritual help for you. But so, Jonathan, it would be amazing to know more about yourself, your background, about your disability, and how you sort of got to where you are, and also how you manage daily. So, yeah, are you okay to go back to the beginning?
of course, yeah. So just a little point of reference here. So Jonathan is also a biblical name, as is John. Um, and I believe Jonathan means something like gift of God. But with that being said, it's not me saying I'm a gift of God, nothing like that. It's more so I've been given the ability to pass forward some gifts. So,
Oh,
so
amazing.
my gifts, information,
And just
fully.
to add on to that, John in the Bible was Jesus's best friend, and he was an incredible guy who wrote so much for Jesus. And yeah, if you ever get the time to read the Bible, it is a remarkable stories in there, particularly that were written by John. But yes, I do believe that you do give gifts to others, and I'd love to hear more about that. So yeah, so please do share a bit more about how you got it, how everything's come about for you.
Yeah. So I if I go back to square one, so I was born with autism. Wasn't diagnosed until I was about 21, roughly, in university, and I've had different health issues since then. So a lot of them started from, I'd say, around about when I was 14 years old, roughly. So that's when I had a rugby collision, a legal injury, a legal tackle. I was playing in an international sports tour. Um, Long story short, I got very mashed up visibly, and at the time the medical system wasn't very forthcoming with scans, help, support, advice, anything. Effectively, when I went to the GP at that time when I had the injury, um, basically the GP at the time put me, asked me to sit on the end of his, the surgeon's GP table thing, sat forward and leant forward a little bit, he pulled up my back, my top, and put his finger down my spine and said, "Oh, yeah, you're fine. There's nothing to worry about here." Then, meanwhile, had tears in my eyes. I was weeping, and I was suggested to take some ibuprofen. Now, this continued on for years, years and years and years. So, apologies for the story's a bit patchy, but it does scatter a bit. Now, at that time as well, also, I had glandular fever. So, anyone that knows has had that Epstein-Barr virus. Get these antibodies in your blood basically in these periods of time, and they lower your immune system. Um, so effectively, you live a life which is immunologically repaired, immunologically imperfect, I'd say, or impaired. Now, I also had it again years and years and years later. I think around that time when I was in university. And basically, what happened year after year was I was prescribed different medications. So we're talking about antidepressants from the pain and the fatigue. So all of the antidepressants you pretty much commonly prescribed in the UK. Pretty much all the pain medications. So codeine, all the paracetamol, ibuprofen, the aspirin, the naproxen, the gabapentin, the pregabalin, the whatever else there is that they can prescribe, the lot. That obviously damaged my gut. Yourself, you've had issues with that as well. But a lot of my health issues did stem from the medications they're prescribing to me. So because of all this, basically because of this one injury, I've had a life of absolute living hell. And people say that, and they don't. A lot of people say that, but truly, it's been as bad as it could be in a sense. Despite not being terminal, I do feel sometimes like I'm in terminal state of health. And I've had some fortune in some way, so meeting people like yourself, people online, and I'm in a position now where I'd consider an incurable disease condition state. Some people do get remission, but because I wasn't cared for by the NHS or health service, these things just get worse. It's not something where you can go down the line and say, "Oh, you're diabetic now." 10 years later, you might not be. It's not
Yeah,
that.
sure.
You
Yeah.
just regress. You regress and you regress at a faster rate if things aren't taken care of.
Yeah.
So what I now live with is something called complex regional pain syndrome. And that's basically diagnosed from, I believe, 4 criteria, which are under something called the Budapest criteria.
Yeah.
Now each one is it's got a clever scientific name for each thing, but one of them might be vasomotor, for example. Basically, you can have things like discoloration of your skin in the affected areas. You can have abnormal temperature changes, so a bit like menopausal lady sort of thing. I experience every different um, temperature change you can imagine throughout the day, but it's mainly heat. Heat is my biggest problem. So right here, literally here, I have a fan. That'll be on me all night. I have an air conditioning unit just by my window there, and that'll be on all night. And that's regardless of the time of year, generally speaking. But on that same token, I've had a lot of experiences with different people. I've been able to draw upon certain things which have been useful or unuseful. And what I've kind of come to conclusion is we're all our own n equals one. So we are all our own anecdote, all our own experience. It's very unique in how people suffer with different conditions. And basically, what I've been on a path of doing now for the past, so I'm currently 30 years old, for the past like 15, 16 years, is trying to find a way to live as comfortably as humanly possible. Now, the complex regional pain syndrome can be diagnosed in one of two ways. So it can be diagnosed either from hereditary basis, so you're born with it, genetic defect, so to speak, or it can be type 2, which is what I have, which is as a result of an injury, trauma, or surgery. I've had a lot of traumas, a lot of
Yeah.
surgeries, and a lot of injuries. But the important thing to say here is none of them have been my fault, which is
Yeah.
frustrating because it's not like you can look back and say, "Oh, I wish I did this better."
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Weird perspective, but basically, some of my sort of main sort of things are the fatigue, digestive issues, um, severe exhaustion. So anything I do in a day basically does take from my daily spoons. So anyone that's got chronic fatigue or someone that might have fibromyalgia, they know that there's something called the spoons analogy. So you have so many spoons each week or each period of time, and you can spend so many each day. So my days are effectively on my calendar very equal. I just keep it all very so at least that way I can identify if something goes wrong or doesn't go wrong. I'd also consider myself the most biohacked man in the UK right now by a long shot. By a long shot.
Tell us about that.
So yeah, we'll get into that one. So at the end of my bed here, I've got a table with my desk which I can't always sit up at, and it's got a fridge. And that fridge has got a number of different peptides and things which I'm using as an adjunct to prevent me from needing a lot of medications which can be toxic. So Rachel and I discussed just before this recording. I'm currently using two painkiller medications. So one is pregabalin, and one is something called medical cannabis, which I'm legally prescribed, which can be prescribed in the UK. But it has to be done privately, and you have to reach certain criteria in order to get it. But when I compare myself to other people living with any one of my three conditions, so complex regional pain syndrome, which comes from the spine fusion surgery I had, which was botched, by the way. And
Oh, no.
yeah, so I've got a bone spur sticking through my spinal column, which we're looking to sort of do
Wow.
out at some point. But yeah, they've missed a lot of things in scans and all sorts. But anyway,
Yeah.
autism as well. So it's a bit of a trifecta. So I'm damned if I leave the house because I'm overloaded sensory wise from outside world. Damned if I stay in bed because you don't get better from staying still. You
Of
get all the sort
course.
of comorbidities, the symptoms of being idle or static. A very regimented lifestyle in terms of like I go out this time of day, I get sunlight this time of day, I eat the same sort of foods each day. I have a very regimented and strict supplementation program, and I'm someone that doesn't seem to benefit from or as much as other people from the typical advice. I have to dig a bit deeper, try a bit harder, do more, measure more, spend more money on all this sort of stuff. So currently, right now, my expenditure on health stuff alone. So me as a human being living this life, this subjective experience, um, it costs me around about £800 extra per month. But
Wow.
if I compared myself to someone that didn't have my issues, so
Wow.
it's a lot of money, yeah. But
Yeah.
saying that, in all honesty, saying that I don't have a destroyed inside internal system like a lot of people.
Yeah,
So it's
sure.
prevented me from needing, all these
Yeah.
medications for your liver and kidney values. So if anyone's listening to this, they're thinking like, what would you do? A lot of it is supplement based, strict diet based. Um, they use different peptide therapies. So basically, they're quite. I want to say they're a novel thing in terms of what people know about them nowadays, but they're not new. Is in
Mhm.
they are well researched, but we haven't really looked at them for a long time because of certain influences around the world, let's just say. But a lot of them
Hmm.
are about 20 plus, maybe up to 50 years old, perhaps even. But these
Wow.
peptides are a bit like, I guess you say a bit like collagen, but not on a mass scale basis. They're more on a minute scale basis. There's something like between one and I believe it's about 50 amino acids long. And each one of them that I use has a different purpose in the body. So a lot
Yeah.
of them actually naturally occurring. So one example might be something called body protection compound 157. So that will be naturally produced by gastric juices, and it's used for exactly how it sounds. So body protection. So it's healing gut lining, healing organ systems, internal systems, reducing inflammation through that pathway through like leaky gut. And these things do help to some degree, but they're very expensive and they have to be used alongside a sort of regime which is intuitive and kind of coincides with getting better. So you're not going to use these things alongside a diet of McDonald's and think, "Oh, I'm going to
No, that
find."
you're going to be, symptom free, or you're going to have a better day or something like that. I totally get that. So Jonathan, you obviously have to micromanage your days quite a lot to get through each day. And I can imagine that you would just be literally taking every day as it comes. So if you don't have a good night, then the next day, you're pretty much not going to be doing a great deal. So how do you manage with your food? And we must talk also about your training, because what the listeners and the viewers probably don't realize is that you compete at high level bodybuilding, and you've won. So I'm excited to talk about that, which we'll get to in a minute. But I'd really love to know a bit more about, what your day in terms of your food looks for too, because I think it's important to mention here as well that you don't rarely do you put anything toxic in your body because of all the experiences and the things that you know and obviously researched over the years. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what your diet consists of.
Yeah, so I try to keep it. Some things are very simple in my life, some things are quite complicated. So I tend to eat 4 meals per day. Each
Yeah.
meal is near enough the same or very similar. I might swap out meat sources, but that's largely it. What I tend to do at the moment is I'll get maybe 1.2, 1.3 kilos of beef brisket or a beef joint. I'll slow cook it with some, some broth or something, some broth powder, or I'll buy some bones from the local, butchers,
Yeah,
make a broth myself, add some butter, some
nice.
salt, things like that, and I'll just have that throughout the day. But I'll split that between 4 portions. And I'm quite for a bodybuilder. I have to auto-regulate things a bit. I can't just do 4 meals that are exactly the same quantities. So I go by feel in a sense. So if I know, for example, say I wake up in the middle of the night hungry for a week straight. Oh, why is that? Probably didn't have enough fat in the last meal. So I might backload more of the fat towards the end of the day. So at least through the
Nice.
night, I'm not waking up as hungry. So it's scaled out to that kind of degree of intention, basically. I also have a diet of a lot of fish in it, so I eat a lot of salmon, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, I can't tolerate eggs as often as I used to. So I've been nailed with antibiotics basically. So
Mm.
my immune system can't seem to handle some of the proteins in that at times, and that's irrespective of how I cook it, boil it, consume it, where it's from, what egg, or it's an egg yolk, or it's an egg white. So I can't eat eggs like I used to, which is a staple in a
Oh.
bodybuilder diet.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know it's
I
terrible.
love eggs.
Yeah. Like I used to have 10 to 12 jumbo eggs after my spine fusion surgery about 3 years ago. It's actually 3 years ago to the day tomorrow. And I now I can tolerate about two or three a day. That's it.
Wow.
So there's obviously some long-term effects from different medications and antibiotics, which I just have to deal with.
Yeah.
Another medication I have to use is a cyclovir, which is a HSV1 inhibitor, I guess. People with herpes simplex virus 1. Um, you can get it without even getting it, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
without even knowing how you got it. So I got
Wow.
that as a result of my surgery where I was given the antibiotics.
Yeah.
So now my immune system is, on paper, it's good, but there's still some things I just can't tolerate, which if I, for example, have a lot of spicy food, then I have a bit of chocolate or something. That's it. Forget about me having normal sized lips. I'm flared up within about a day.
Wow,
So
really? You actually have a full-on, almost allergic response to, wow. Your body's
yeah,
just
I
knows what it
don't
wants and what
tolerate
it doesn't.
chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a very strong warning sign.
Yeah.
So I don't tolerate chocolate at all, really. I get gifted it a lot and I'll just eat it and just think this is going to mess me up for like 3 days. Then I
Yeah.
move on. Then the other thing is berries, one of the most ancestrally appropriate foods, apparently. I don't tolerate them at all. I eat
Really?
four or five berries of any
Oh
kind, my stomach's
no.
well rated.
This would be a living nightmare for me. I love all of these things.
Yeah, yeah. Valentine's Day for me if it was
No, no,
chocolate and
no
cream,
strawberry
berries, strawberries.
chocolate.
But fortunately, I don't really care much for it. I'm not fussy, but so yeah. I mean, with all this being said, I do have some hedonistic sort of pleasures. So I can make a carnivore ice cream. That might be
Yeah,
2 raw eggs, butter or milk or raw kefir, something like that. Put some gelatin in, some protein powder, mix it up, put it in the freezer, take it out half an hour before I want to eat it, and it's there we go. I make
perfect.
some things which are quite interesting, and to me,
Yeah,
that's like having a dessert every meal. You know,
yeah,
um,
nice. So you get
I,
that. you did get that enjoyment, but you know, and obviously you're making everything from scratch, right? So you're knowing what's going into the food. You're, you know. So I assume eating out for you is out of the question.
It's very challenging. So I tend to only eat out maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
Um, what will usually be is like a roast dinner, but where I used to have maybe like 8 roast potatoes, it might be like one or two.
yeah,
Then I might
sure,
actually
sure.
just half it, put it in a box, and have the other half later.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I'd say if you looked at my diet over I'd say 99% of the nutrients I take in are from animal foods only, and
yeah,
that's across any span of time. Um, but I also respect the fact that sometimes I want to go out with family, and sometimes I want that nostalgia of like, oh, we used to eat here, or I used to have this, and I still try
yeah.
to live a somewhat normal life. But with that being said, I do have to sort of accept, yeah, I'm not going to feel great the next day at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I understand that. I understand that. So talk to me about your bodybuilding, Jonathan. So this has obviously been something that you've done for a while. So what sort of encouraged you to get into it? And how often do you compete? And what I know it was the last competition, wasn't it? That you were congratulations, you won in your category. So amazing. So what does that look like for you when you might train for that? And please, you know, share us how on earth do you manage it? Because on some days, like God bless you today, I know that you're struggling today. So, you know, how do you then manage to cope with training as well as eating? And what sort of, apart from the Lord, who I believe is well behind you, how do you get through?
I think it's a bit of stubbornness and my Griffiths family trait, which is being absolutely tenacious. So my brother and I, we're certainly a different breed. We're not like normal people, and I say this kind of with a sense of pride, but also with a sense of, yeah, don't do what we do. I don't think it's normal. I don't think bodybuilding in and of itself is normal. I just like to train and like to compete. Yeah, in terms of like the training, I mean, I started when I was about 13 years old. My brother, I think he's 6 years older than me, so he had a head start, obviously. We used to go together, and I got really good results really quick, like absurdly quick. Um, and it sort of a few years went by, and I noticed other people in the gym that I was training or competing. I was like, I've got a better physique than them, and I don't even know what I'm doing, really.
Yeah,
Just doing what my brother does and trying to copy what. I'm lucky in a sense I've had a good like mentor teacher in that kind of sense. And years went on, and I think I got maybe about 3 years later, I decided to compete in my first show, in a natural bodybuilding show, and that was hell. I actually
yeah.
got mercury poisoning, so
You
I
got what,
ate
sorry?
mercury poisoning.
Oh no.
Yeah, so
Oh,
5 tins of tuna per day will do that to a lot of people, I think, for 5 months.
wow.
Yeah, so I noticed I had a physique at that time where I had a bit of puppy fat, and I got quite lean, but it's like I was trying harder and harder, doing hours of cardio each day, and just wasn't working. My sort of my dietary approach, which changed over the years and is to what it is now. Um, but yeah, I've generally competed about 1 to 2 times per year for the past 10 years or so. Had,
Wow.
had some really good success and some not so good success, and you can't always expect to win if you can't always expect to win even if you bring your best to the stage. It's very much who
Mm.
you're against. You never know who you're against. So I kind of like that side of it, and I always enjoy the idea of being like the underdog, where I know it's even more challenging for me, but I sort of get to look back and think, well, you know, and I've had very bizarre experiences in bodybuilding competitions. Yeah, in terms of like the training now as years have gone on, I'd say maybe 4 years ago I could do 16,000 steps a day, every day, reliably, repeatably, without much trouble. Now
Wow.
I have to work to get 4,000. Um,
Wow.
so I noticed I have very strict and very firm concrete limitations.
Yeah.
Um, One of my biggest challenges is trying to get other people to understand that. even when it's
Sure.
glaringly obvious I'm lying on the floor crying, people
Yeah.
will still ask me to try harder. And it got to a point where I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
I I basically, I mean, I spent the best part of 2 years tracking everything I did. Um, so my bowel movements, consistency, sleep metrics, dietary intake, um, supplements, the food I ate, how I felt each day, blood work, everything for the past couple of years I've tracked. It's
Wow.
very obsessive, but when you live this way, you don't have an option not to.
Yeah,
You think
sure.
if I've got 5% on the table that I'm leaving every single day, every year, that's a lot to sort of just to hand over. So for me, I quite enjoy it because I live with autism. It's the idea of analysis, the control aspect of it when you have little control over other aspects of your life. It's it's quite a safe feeling, I guess.
Yeah,
Better
it's
word.
probably comforting, right? You're, I understand that it is like something in your space that you can control. And tell us about, so when you were competing um, in your bodybuilding competitions, were those the able-bodied competitions or, and have you, because I know that your recent win was in the disabled category.
No,
It wasn't,
no.
sorry.
I've always competed as a handicapped competitor against non-handicapped competitors. This
Wow.
coming year, I'm looking to compete against people a bit like me. And my
Yeah,
biggest struggle
nice.
or mental limitation is I look a lot more able than what I am.
Yeah,
And
sure,
it's
sure,
like
sure.
I've had, people close to me, you're not doing this, you're doing it wrong, or you could be doing this, or this doesn't help. And the reality is, I've got a number of healthcare professionals that have told me if you didn't do what you're doing now, you would be much worse off. And
Wow, really?
yeah, so it's a different outlook. So the way I'm training now is it's not just a case of oh, I want to look good and win trophies. It's a case of well, do or die.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
your life.
maintain this. One, obviously, the aspect of having a social media presence. People look to me for inspiration. There's
Yeah,
going to be someone out
nice.
there who's better off or worse off than me that might be inspired by it. And I've met some of these people, and you think, wow, this person could be in a completely different life right now
Yeah,
had I not
yeah,
shared
yeah.
this video or done something. So yeah. So in terms of like, I guess we should talk about a bit about the training because people always wonder how I do the training.
Yeah, please. So that's fantastic. Love to hear more.
Yeah, so I used to train for about, I'd say up to about 20 hours per week or something when I was 15, 16. So that was a mix of like circuit training, sprint training, sport related stuff, bodybuilding training. Now I train about on a good week, 4 hours, and that's as much as I'd do, not a minute more. And where I train is effectively, it's, I'd suggest people look into this if they're in a similar position to me. Actually, anyone. Slow burn training. So it is kind of how it sounds. So you train slowly. So when I lift a weight, it's really slowly and controlled. Um, Now it's also a case of like how do I find the right exercises? So I have like a little logbook or a tracker and say this felt good, this didn't feel good, this grip was fine, this affected this part of my back. So I'm always analyzing what I'm doing all the time. It's not a case of I'll go in the gym, oh let's train chest today. No, 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 no. There's no leeway. There's no freedom to train how I might
Yeah.
want to. It has to be very precise. I've got like videos on YouTube which show people how exactly how I train, and
Wow.
it's worked really, really well, especially over the last year or two. So
Yeah.
effectively, what it might be is 10 seconds up, 10 seconds down, minimal effective dose in terms of training. Like what is the least I need to do that allows me to still progress but not hurt myself. And also listening to my body's own biometrics. So, for example, if my appetite increases, maybe I've done too much, maybe I'm stressed out, maybe it's not the training itself. Maybe it's the fact I've not slept well. Maybe it's the fact I've walked the dog and he's pulled the lead too hard and I'm buggered for 3 days, sort of thing. So there's a lot to look at in my day. Like even how I walk down the stairs sometimes. generally speaking, yeah, I can walk down the stairs. People see me walking around, I look about normal. I do
Yeah,
walk around now with a stick. Um,
yeah,
so I can walk around the house just about fine. But to walk any distance beyond the end of the road, sort of thing, I have to use a stick. My balance is abysmal. Um, After a few paces, I can't feel my feet. So I have to sometimes, for example, if I'm in the pool, I use that as a therapy as well as a pool and sauna. I just walk around the pool, but what I actually do is I walk as if I'm trying to use my muscles more. I'm
yeah,
like lifting my arms more, like like you might see the elderly women in the pool doing acrobics. I'm like raising my knees higher. I'm
yeah,
pushing with my
sure,
legs. I'm trying to
sure.
make up the deficit I have in my normal routine by simulating that, but in a weight reduced, weightless kind of environment in the pool. So that's how I
That's
still
great.
manage to remember.
I was going to ask you about swimming and pool activities being, a weightless body exercise. Do you find that the pool is good therapy for you?
I'd say it's one of the best interventions I've added in a long time. I'd say the
Wow.
sauna has been more effective.
Is that right?
Uh,
So what, to release toxins from your body and sweat things out?
that's right. Yeah. So when you have the heat, and the heat is obviously ex- the heat basically pushes the blood towards the periphery of your body. So that takes away a lot of the pain that I have very deep internally. It also switches up the sensory presentation that I have from the pain itself. So
Yeah,
the same instance, people put an ice pack on them. Oh, that takes away the swelling. Da, da, da. But the problem is
yeah,
when you use ice, you decrease the amount of inflammatory process in the body beyond
sure.
the point of what is needed. So it's too easy to step over that line. So what we find in some studies is you'll actually not be able to get the adaptation process from the training because you're not allowing the inflammation to happen. But with the sauna, it doesn't work in the same way. So you get more blood flow towards different tissues that might otherwise not get it. So for me,
Nice.
that's been, I'd say, um, I go to the sauna about 2 to 3 times a week, and that's been one of the biggest interventions I've had. And in terms of like pain relief, and I sleep better for it. My only limitation now is getting there from time to time. So
Yeah,
up
yeah.
until recently, I was reliant on things on buses and things to travel. You can't drive with medical cannabis in your system, despite everyone, my family trying to tell me to drive still. Um, it's absurd.
It's
You
not
can't drive.
wise.
No, you're basically half drunk all day every day. Um, then obviously I have like limited kind of feeling in my legs sometimes, like especially my right leg. So what I'll actually do is when I get in and out of the pool, I'll actually wipe my feet against the ground. So it teaches my brain, okay, this is the surface that I'm about to walk on. So it's a constant state of reminding myself I am walking on this. This surface
Wow.
is carpet. This is how my feet should feel. So it's the same. I like to walk around the house with like not much on, but I have a
Yeah,
better sensory input from around me, so I
yeah.
can be more spatially aware, things like that. So that's what I found helpful. And in terms of like other things as well, there's some other biohacks I use, but they're very limited in efficacy in terms of like how much they cost. I want to,
Mm,
want to talk as well about like the travel side of it. So travel is a nightmare.
yeah.
If I've got an appointment to go to, if I've got a family function, I have to be, especially if it's beyond about 20, 30 minutes, I have to be lying near enough flat, like a just like a patient in an ambulance to get around. You can imagine all these bodybuilding shows, these events,
Wow.
these conferences I have to speak at. Some of them I can't get to. So I
Wow.
physically can't get to them. So I actually had to bring my mum to my last bodybuilding show. So she'd help me with my bags and things like that, like
Of
carrying stuff.
course. Yeah.
I
Yeah, because
train.
that must be a nightmare, right? Carrying your luggage
Train.
around and just anything that you need. And obviously, all the things that you want to take with you, supplements and,
Yeah,
anything to help ease you up as well. So, yeah, I can imagine that must be very challenging for you.
yeah. So now I can't rely very often on buses because they drive like lunatics. Um,
Yeah.
swerve around a kind of, and I'm just like, I feel that. I feel every single bump that you go over, and it hurts. It makes
Yeah.
me win. That's unless somehow in a bus, which is like that, but they don't.
It's
Yeah, I have to
non-existent.
carry this bag of meat everywhere.
Okay.
So in front, I've got medication.
Yeah.
Side, I've got vapes to keep my mind stimulated.
Yeah.
Nicotine is a useful painkiller, so I use nicotine gum sometimes.
Yeah.
Usually a plastic or metal straw,
Yeah.
just so I don't chug loads of water. So then I don't have to go to the toilet more often than I have to. Um,
Wow.
so you can see just from like that alone, the amount of things I have to think of during a day just to go about my life is an absolute hell.
Yeah.
Um, I'd
Bless
say
you.
I say it's I describe it as that because it's frustrating because you know you're rushed around a lot by people and you got to do all these
Mm.
things, fill all these tasks, and um, you know, for
Oh,
example, if
go on.
you know
Sorry.
if I've got a podcast, it's like okay, say it's at 11. Okay, well that means I need to get to the toilet about 20 minutes before. I need a drink next to me with some ice in it, just to keep me cool. Because I get really hot. And when I say hot, I mean I could sit here right now and I'll feel like I'm in Mexico, like
Oh my goodness.
under the sun. Yeah, it's frustrating. Then you've got different body parts which will sweat, then not sweat.
Yeah.
Then what I actually do is I've got a box just beneath where my phone is here, and it'll have light settings for night. So I use light as a different therapy for me. Um,
Yeah.
if I make my food's not got enough salt in it.
Yeah.
Salt.
Got your salt there, ready to go.
Um, Pens to write stuff down if I get a call. I need to take notes. Drawers,
Wow.
medications. And this is one of the most useful things I have.
Yeah.
It's a thermometer.
Yeah.
I know if I'm looking at that, 17.4 degrees Celsius,
Yeah.
that's about fine for me. But
Yeah.
I'll be able to anticipate and know if I'm having a pain flare because I'll think it's higher than what it is.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
mean, I can say, oh, it's hot in this room versus, oh, I'm having a pain flare. Maybe
Yeah.
today I
Got
should
it.
leave the house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this,
Yeah. Fair enough. So you
you see
know
what I
what
mean?
to
These are
do.
some of the things.
Wow, man, I have to say, you're incredible, Jonathan, to have to do this every single day of your life. And, and I just wanted to share that I feel that actually, it must be so hard for people who are not completely able-bodied nowadays because the world is so like fast. I often talk to my husband about this. People talk about how time seems to be speeding up, how the years fly by, but actually it's not time at all. It's society that is so fast. I mean, you get up, you go to work, in a normal, like for my daily routine, it's get up, you get the kids ready, you go to work, you're working like constantly non-stop, there's no break, you get home, I might continue with more work, then there's dinner, then there's something else going on, swimming for my daughter, and it's just non-stop, and then the next day you're getting up and you're doing it all again. And then even the things, this is why you have to be so careful what you watch, because movies and television and anything like that, it's also fast. Things move from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, especially in movies, scene to scene to scene. And then you've got your shopping experience where you're ordering things online, it's arriving next day, so everybody is at this higher level state of speed. And for somebody who cannot move at speed, or for somebody who needs to take their time to do their daily activities, it must be so incredibly frustrating when the world around you is operating at a different pace. And I understand you mentioned something to me a minute ago about how people around you get frustrated because of you not being able to move at their pace. But that's, and that must make you feel so, yeah, so angry in a way that these people, that the world is like this and they expect everybody to be at this pace too. But do you know what, Jonathan? I think that your pace is a blessing because the pace that we operate at now is so highly stressful. You know, adrenaline is constantly going. Like I'll be honest with you, this week I've really been feeling it for myself. You know, we're coming to obviously to the end of the year. It's been extremely busy for us this year, and I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling pressured. Like even my heart, you know, I'm feeling like, oh my goodness, I just want to slow down. And actually, I've said I'm not going to the gym because I need to listen to my body. My head's saying to me, come on, keep going, keep going. You can do it. You can do it. But my body is going, please, no, I just want to rest. And today I just said to my husband, I've got to work from home today because it's too much. I just need some slower pace of life. And I'm looking forward to that. I know Christmas is usually a busy time for people, but for myself, actually, it's the most quietest time of the year. And I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm really sorry that the world is like this for you, Jonathan, and that you have to, battle against the world in that respect. But I do know as well that you do amazing things for other people and you help amazing people along their own health journey. And I watch your socials and I see what you do. And you put up a great post the other day about all the amazing people that you've been helping around the world for a long time. So just share with me about that. And also that must give you so much back that it actually helps you to also get up every day.
Sure. Yes. I mean, any given day that I wake up, obviously we have this perception in social media. You know, it's one bad comment can ruin a lot of people's day.
Mm,
I get a lot of bad comments, mostly from
mm,
middle-aged jealous American men.
mm.
Sorry for saying that, American men, but that's the demographic that tends to be mostly the trolls. And the flip side, I also know a lot of very generous, helpful, caring, loving, supportive middle-aged American men. It's
Yeah,
always a case I have to reframe, as you can probably imagine, I have to reframe everything I do throughout the day.
yeah,
Um, Now the thing that happened recently actually was I was in a disabled toilet, and the disabled toilets are not built for 6'1" males or anyone. In fact, they're only built for people in wheelchairs.
wow,
What if I need the space to do it? So I've got to bend down, no matter what situation I'm in. I've got to bend down all day, every day, with my spine to pick something up, to pick up something on the floor I dropped, to put my hands in the hand dryer, to wash my hands in the basin, to get some toilet roll from the thing. Um, there is almost um, more bias in that situation because sometimes I'm cut between two choices. I can use this toilet or changing room where everything is more spacious, everything is really low, and I know that it's going to hurt me. Or I can use this, which is smaller, which are more likely to be clumsy, drop things, blah blah blah. Everything's at a normal 6'1" male height. So it's the world is not built for me. What I sort of tell myself all the time is, Jonathan, you're not built. You're not here that. You're not here to live, and you're not here built for comfort. So why else am I here? That's what I'm always thinking about. I'm always chasing that. Why
yeah,
else am I? I'm not built to be in a situation where I feel great all the time. So I try to take advantage and take credit of things that are enjoyable in life. So this morning I had a message from my brother's friend who actually started coaching for free, but now he wants to take me on full time as his coach, sort of thing. Um, yeah, he's doing a wrestling show. To him,
wow.
that's like everything. He's like a proper punk rock sort of guy. He loves like concerts and things. So I'm helping him do that. Then there's people, can't say too much. There's someone from Poland who's a great friend of mine. I consider him pretty much a family member. I've been coaching him for about 3 years. He has a complete absence of any ill health. He's previously on
Wow.
a vegan diet. He's in incredible shape. Um, and I think partly why we have such a good relationship is because I've always honoured the price that I set him when we first started working together, which I believe was like £54 per month.
Yeah.
But it's paid back in dividends because we have a great relationship. He's a great friend. He's always supportive, and there's kind of that element of it as well. Then I've got people in Australia who are just like me, autistic people, but they understand where I'm coming from. We've got a long term, great working relationship. That's not even including like all the health benefits that people have sort of accumulated over time. So because I've been through this journey myself and I've spoken to literally thousands of people with different issues.
Yeah,
Um,
that.
I can sort of narrow down what the best practice is for most people. I used to
Nice.
manage a vegan health food shop, funny enough.
Did
So I
you
know what yeah, and that's actually when I started the carnivore diet 6 years ago.
really?
But fun enough,
Wow.
yeah. But yeah, a lot of it comes from experience, just knowing the right lever to pull at the right time. Also, the intrapersonal aspect of it, knowing that not everyone can quite see the light yet, so you just have to tease them away along to it.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you have to be very careful as a coach not to push people too hard. That's something
Yeah,
I've been learning over the last few years because the way I
yeah,
do things is very much live or die. But
yeah,
for another person trying to drop £10 is not, you know, they don't mind
yeah,
if they gain it back. So yeah,
yeah,
different.
yeah. I think that's a really good approach, actually. And expect that because you're very calming, Jonathan, because you have to be very slow and paceful and almost peaceful. I'd imagine that people have comfort in that around you because it's not a high pressured, you know, rah, rah, rah environment, which, yeah, of course you can get from coaches and trainers. I've had my fair share of those in the past as well, and yeah, so I totally get it. So what's next for you, mate? What's the plans for you? I know obviously you deal day to day with what's going on, but do you have any dreams? Do you have any plans for, the coming time or the long term?
Yeah, I think I was hoping it happened this month or next. I was invited personally to be a how do you describe it? Um, Someone wanted to do a day in the life of me with the BBC.
Oh,
Um, and
nice.
it was going to be on a BBC mini docu series. Uh,
Wow.
then things came about and it sort of diluted a bit. My story didn't want to be put out for whatever reason. And I didn't get the opportunity to go to the meetup that was the other day because I couldn't
Oh,
get there. The
oh,
frustrating part is the people that were around me could have taken me, chose
yeah.
not to.
Oh, mate.
They wanted it for themselves. This
Yeah.
is the online carnivore community. There's a lot of, we've discussed behind the scenes, but it's the kind of high pressure situation which people don't want to find themselves in. A
Mm,
lot of people are in it for themselves, which is frustrating.
mm,
But that's something I was looking to do or would like to do. Is I'm not saying I want to be like Arnold and be on the big screen. I don't care about that. But it'd be nice to share my story, my message. A lot of people are a bit
of
similar to me
course.
to show
100%.
people it can be done. It is something that's achievable. So that's one goal that I do have. The other goal is to do what I was put here for. One of the reasons is to meet a mate, produce offspring and stuff. But that's with me how my body is right now. It's just like my physical limitations in terms of be able to get on the floor, play with children, and it's not what I'd hoped. I did have a relationship in the past about 2 years ago, but we had to finish that because of that reason because I could no longer keep up. So that's
Oh,
something that I'm looking to do as well. So I got two big goals. How I achieve them, I don't know. But for now, I'm quite happy, sort of trotting along and sharing my information and helping people as best as I can.
amazing, mate. Amazing. I am sure that you will be blessed with those. The more you serve others, the more you are blessed in return. So, yeah, Jonathan, I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming on and sharing everything that you have done with us. And yeah, and I think you're a real inspiration to others, a real inspiration, especially for those who are struggling with their mental health and and finding it difficult to get up and to do things, and then yeah, to consider yourself and what you have to go through daily is it's a real inspiration. So amazing. Please continue to do what you're doing, and I have no doubt that you will continue to achieve.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted just to say to people, that are probably listening to this, the only guarantee of failure is if you quit.
Mm,
The moment you stop setting goals yourself, stop trying to achieve things each day, the moment you say, "Oh, tomorrow will do. I'll try it another day," that's the day it sort of spirals out of control. So try and
yeah,
stay in control, stay grounded to what you have and what you can do each day, and don't be afraid sometimes to say no. If you're
yeah.
not in a good state, you can't help others either. So
Yeah, very true. That is really good advice. I think it's okay to say no. I think so often we're just programmed to say yes to everything and to everybody, and then as a result, we give no time and space for ourselves. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today, Jonathan, and may this interview touch the hearts of many. So yeah, thanks, mate. Okay.